Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. And no, I'm not a doctor, I'm still a Viking, but this is my review for the new pandemic movie, Songbird. I'll just take this off because it's very hard to talk and do a review at the same time, but yeah, you got the gist of it. This movie is about a pandemic. Now, a trailer came out about a month ago and people were going crazy online saying, "What are you doing? A movie with the pandemic when we're still in a pandemic? This is so unfair to people who are dealing with this and getting sick since people are dying day to day." And I understood that. But eventually a movie was going to be made about the pandemic, like COVID-19, about bats, about all that stuff. It was eventually going to happen, guys. Now look at the film Contagion. I think it was trending pretty high on Netflix at the start of the pandemic when everyone was in lockdown. That's a movie with Matt Damon, I think Kate Winslet, and that centers on a pandemic that was very, very accurate to the one that we've been in the last year. Very, very scary stuff. And even when I was watching that movie, I found it hard to watch some parts of it. It's hard to see people in agony and see people sick. And that movie was scarily accurate. But this movie, Songbird, is not as controversial as people made it out to be at the start. So here's the plot. In 2024, a pandemic ravages the world and its cities, centering on a handful of people as they navigate the obstacles currently hindering society: disease, martial law, quarantine, and vigilantes. It's directed by Adam Mason. It's a Michael Bay produced movie, and it stars KJ Apa, Sophia Carson, Craig Robertson, Bradley Whitford, Peter Stormare, which I love, Alexandra Daddario, and Paul Walter Heiser. Now there's some, and Demi Moore I should say as well. Now there's some other actors as well, but they don't really play that big of a role in the actual movie. Now, so let's get into this movie, guys. Now overall, it's an okay movie, but it was a huge missed opportunity. So we're living in 2024, everyone's been in lockdown the last few years. And yeah, it's pretty fitting to kind of put yourself in those people's shoes because that's exactly what we're going through right now. But they didn't hit the nail on the head enough for me. They should have showed more stories of people who are in quarantine and how they're trying to deal with it. Now, in our own world, people got depressed in quarantine. Some people actually loved quarantine, but they should have showed elements of that, how it affects each and every person a little bit different, but they never really did that in the movie. They only touched the surface a lot of the time. But this year, 2024, everyone's in lockdown, and some people are immune to the virus. And the ones that are immune to the virus wear a bracelet so they can travel around the city, they can walk around as much as they want. But the people who aren't immune have to stay in isolation. And if you are infected, if you do get infected with the virus, you and your whole family have to go to a centered off area called Q, which is kind of referenced as a short reference to a quick death. So it's this kind of community of people who are sick. You go live there, you don't have much rights or anything, you just live there. It looks pretty dirty. We got an overhead shot of it, and that's where you go. If you're not sick, you stay indoors, you do not leave unless you have a bracelet which allows you to travel around the city of LA. Now it was pretty cool, some pretty cool shots that they got to show of LA just completely abandoned, and these are real shots. These aren't kind of made up for a movie or anything. These are actual real shots. Now this movie got greenlit in March, it started shooting in May and got finished before the summer really kicked off, which I will say is pretty amazing for a movie to shoot a full movie in a pandemic. This movie isn't too long, guys. It's about 90 minutes. So it's a nice short watch. You don't need to think too much watching this movie. Like, people were worried and said, are they going to make a joke of COVID-19? Are they going to add huge conspiracy theories to the actual movie? But in this movie, they didn't. They just told the story of COVID-19 and people who are trying to struggle in this world and being in lockdown and people getting sick. Now for me, they probably should have went more hardcore with it. Have kind of a more action in it. Have a conspiracy theory in it, because at the end of the day, it's a movie. And at the end of the day, people were going to make a movie about COVID-19 anyway, no matter if it's a year after, 2 years or 10 years. Movies and TV shows are going to come out of this terrible year that we've been in. Now, I really like some of the characters. And at the start of the movie, we just see KJ Epa's character, who is a courier. He's working for Craig Robertson, who is making a lot of money in this pandemic because he is providing people with service of deliveries. Anything you want is delivered by his couriers around the city. So he's making money and he's well known, and that's where kind of people go through to get stuff delivered. So KJ Apa is one of the couriers. He's traveling around the city on his bicycle, and you know what? There's some really just cool moments of him just cycling around, and we get to see him go through an abandoned city. He just plays basketball by himself on the freeway. So stuff like that is actually pretty cool, and there was a certain kind of warmth to just watching him and watching him interact with people who are in isolation. Now, there's a girl in this film called Sophia Carson. That's kind of KJ Apa's love interest in the movie. And basically what happens is they've never meeting face to face. They've only connected over Zoom or over call and stuff like that. They've never actually met, but they get an attraction towards each other. And I'm sure there is many people and many stories in this year where they came across people online on the internet that they never even met before, and they fell for each other, and maybe they got to meet finally when the pandemic was lifted a bit and lockdowns were lifted. So I did like that element a little bit, that these characters, and there are even some nice warming scenes of them watching a movie together over Zoom. So stuff like that is actually pretty relevant, and many people did that over the last year. But there's too much stuff that goes on throughout this movie. There is side story upon side story. There is kind of too many character stories going on. And it reminds me very much of a Transformers movie. Now, Michael Bay, I like his Transformer movies, but there's a lot going on with them. You got the Autobots, you got the Decepticons, you got Shia LaBeouf's character, you got the army, you got certain characters like that. And then the same when Mark Wahlberg came along, you got these 3 or 4 different storylines going on at the one time, and you feel like you never get a break. In this movie, there is some times where you get to sit down and spend some time with the characters, especially KJ Apa's character, who is very likable. You might know him from Riverdale, and I didn't think of him as much of an actor, but in this movie, he's pretty good. But a lot of the material the actors are given isn't that great. It really is. And Alexandra Daddario, of course, I love her as well. She plays kind of an online star who moved to LA to be a pop singer. Then she got locked in lockdown, and she's just kind of online singing, and people are giving her donations for singing and stuff like that. And then you've got another character, Paul Walter Hauser, who used to be in the army. He's depressed. He's been in isolation for years because he's been depressed from the army. He's in a wheelchair, so he's already been in his lockdown before everyone else was. Then you got Demi Moore, you got Bradley Whitford, who are a couple, and they seem to be okay in the surface. Their daughter is a little bit vulnerable to the sickness, so they have to be careful who comes in and comes out. But they're also a bit shady. They're kind of working through an underground black market where they provide people with the bracelets to walk around and do as they please. And then you've got Peter Stormare, who I love. He pops up in Prison Break, John Wick. You've seen him in so many films, you probably don't even know his name, but he's kind of this dodgy guy who goes around and checks if people are sick, and if they're sick, he brings them out and escorts them to the Q zone. And his character is pretty much of a dick in this movie. But part of this movie, which was pretty cool, is every single morning, if you're not immune to the virus, you have to open up your phone. You get your phone, you put it up to your face. There's an app which tells you if you have the virus or not. And if you have the virus, this kind of alert goes to the people, goes to the authorities, and then they come to take you out of your home and bring you to the Q zone. Then if you scan your face and it says no virus detected, then you get to live the rest of your day at home. So that was a pretty cool element, and imagine if that actually does happen. But overall, 90 minutes, as I said, too many stories going on at the one time, and then the overall story links up together, so the characters come across each other in certain circumstances. And overall, KJ Apa's purpose in this movie is to get Sophia Carson out of lockdown because her grandmother has gotten sick, so the authorities are coming to take the 2 of them. So if one of your family members are sick and you're okay, you're still brought to the Q zone. So KJ Apa goes on a journey to try and get Sophia Carson out of her home so they can leave LA. So that's why he goes through Demi Moore and her husband's character to try and get a way around this and maybe get an immune bracelet. So yeah. But for me, this movie is a big missed opportunity. There's so much more they could have did. They could have did so much more with this movie. They could have took some more risks. And look, it's a movie. At the end of the day, people are going to give out about anything. So they could have put in a big conspiracy theory around it. They could have put in the government's behind it, or they're not giving the virus to certain people. Only the rich, only the elite get the vaccine and stuff like that. That would have been cool and brought a lot to the story. Now, Michael Bay is a producer, but it actually looks like Michael Bay directed this himself. Just there's not much action in the movie, and I'm sure it was hard to do. The cast isn't that big. There's no like extras or stuff like that, so I'm sure it was hard to get people out and to actually shoot this movie. And it looks like everyone just kind of stayed in their homes when they shot this movie. It looks like the people are actually in their real life apartments and houses, and then the cameraman just came in and started shooting. That's what it kind of looks like. So there isn't too much action. There's a little bit of action, but it's not major, nothing to really eye-provoking or anything like that. So I wish they took a little more risks, because the story premise here is actually very, very good. And it's unique, of course, as well, because we're all living in this time and we can relate to it. But it could have been a great character study. And I think a movie will come along about COVID-19. I think a great director with a great script can make something great about this story. Now, the actors, of course, they're fine actors, but the material they're given isn't the best. It really isn't. You know, some of the dialogue isn't great and stuff like that, and some parts of it are kind of stupid. But they should have took more risks. They should have said, look, let's try and make up a story here. Let's try and have a little more action in it. Let's have something so the audience is a little bit more excited about this. But they didn't. They didn't do that. It just said COVID-19 is here, but these are these characters in it. And that's okay as well if the characters who were in it had something interesting about them, which they didn't. So I think, see, like some of the greatest movies of all time are loner movies, and this is supposed to be a loner movie per se. You know, they got Drive with Ryan Gosling, you got Lost in Translation with Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson. You got movies like that. Blade Runner 2049 has some of that kind of lonesome things to it. This movie could have had that, and it could have been a great tissue to connect people who are at home, who are in lockdown and are dealing with loneliness, who are dealing with COVID-19. But it's kind of different as well because everyone's different. Now, some people love lockdown, some people hate lockdown, and in the movie, they should have showcased that. But everyone was kind of on the same beat. Everyone was on the same beat, you know? But yeah, overall, guys, this movie, Songbird, it's okay. Missed opportunity in my part, but it's okay to sit down and watch it and just kind of look at these characters go through this kind of journey that we're kind of similar in ourselves. But it's going to be available in 2021. Probably on a streaming service, so I'd probably wait for the streaming service. I got the chance to be able to watch it, and yeah, look, it's an okay movie, but it's a big missed opportunity. I was kind of angry how much they missed a lot of beats, but it was cool to see LA abandoned, and it's actually real shots and stuff like that. But yeah, missed opportunity. Okay movie, but I wouldn't be spending too much money on it. Guys, were you lucky enough to see Songbird? It was out for 2 days to rent before it's going to be released in a few weeks from now. Have you seen it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Give a like, subscribe. If you're not already a subscriber, guys, please subscribe. If you are, I appreciate you coming by and checking out all my videos. I really, really do. Follow all the socials there in the description. But guys, Songbird, big missed opportunity. Okay movie. Some great talent involved, but they're let down by the script. Guys, have a good day, and hopefully your quarantine is going a lot better than some of the people in this movie.